The first thing that I will be cutting is a spear into two different circles with different radii. I'm going to start slicing here. So this will create a circle number 1. And then if I do it at a shorter length, circle number 2. So when you trace the two different circles, you can tell that they both are two different size circles and that they will both have a different size radius. The next thing that's going to be sized is a right circular cylinder. And the first thing that we're going to do is slice it to create a rectangle. So just going to slice off the top of the circle. Slice it in half again. And then slice off the top of the circle. And then I'm left with a rectangle. So if I was to trace what I have left of my right circular cylinder, I would have a rectangle. For the third three-dimensional figure is a right circular cylinder again, and I'm going to be cutting it into a circle and an ellipse. I think I pronounced that correct. So for the circle, I'm just going to cut off the top. And if I trace it, it comes up as a circle. The next thing I'm going to cut is an ellipse, and that is where I'm just going to cut diagonal. And that's creating an oval shape, which is what an ellipse is. And when I trace that, it comes up as an ellipse. The next thing I'm going to do is cut a cone into a circle, ellipse, and a parabola. So I'm going to start off by just cutting off the top of the cone and creating a smaller circle as a circle. Since Play-Doh just likes to. So when I circle that, it comes up as a baby circle. Next thing I'm going to draw is an ellipse, and that's where I'm just going to cut diagonally through the cone. And that's going to create an oval shape for me. And when I trace that, it comes up as an oval. Like that. And then the next thing I'm going to do is the parabola, and that's where I'm going to cut to the center, to the bottom. And that's going to be this way. And when I trace it, it comes up the way it should be. The next thing I'm going to do is cut this cone into a triangle. I'm going to start off by slicing it in half. And then that creates a triangle. So when I trace my triangle, it comes like this. creates a triangle. The next thing I'm going to do is cut a square-based pyramid into two different squares with different perimeters. So I'm just going to start by cutting off the very bottom. That gives me one square. And then I'm just going to cut off a little bit lower. And it's going to give me another smaller square, so that these two different squares are different in sizes. Play-Doh doesn't really work sometimes. But when I trace it, you're able to see that one square is obviously bigger than the other, meaning that its perimeter is going to be larger. So you see that there are two different size squares. Now the next thing we're going to do is cut a square base pyramid into two different squares, two different triangles that have different perimeters. So for the first one, I'm just going to cut it in half. And then this one's going to have one triangle when I lay it down. And I'm going to cut this one on the back side to where it creates a smaller triangle. So when I would trace these two, they would obviously have a different size perimeters because one is obviously bigger than the other. Their faces are.